Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V and thanks for watching. So twice, that's 4 times, but twice, one of my favorite stories from Superman comics has been ruined on screen. Now overall I really enjoyed Batman v Superman, but I thought that the Doomsday thing was rushed. I thought that the death was rushed. I thought that it was not handled as the huge, massive, legendary event that it should have been. As fans know, in the comics, the Death of Superman story started with the Doomsday books, the end of 1992, went all the way through 1993, and saw Superman's return at the end of 1993. It was a year-long event. There were some teasers before the year-long event started, and then there were some trails at the end of the year-long event. And since then, Doomsday has returned multiple times, and there have been multiple big stories revolving around trying to control this monster, trying to make sure he wouldn't kill again, and trying to make sure his reign of destruction wouldn't be able to continue the next time he returned. But we had an animated Death of Superman called Superman Doomsday. It was the first in I don't know, we're in 10 years now into the animated direct-to-video Warner Brothers line of films, and Superman Doomsday being the first was very exciting. We heard we were getting that story. We were happy. It was a Superman story to begin it, and it was one of the most meaningful, memorable, and awesome stories in the Superman universe. It came up as a joke in a meeting because the Superman writing team was forced to put off stories that they had planned for a year because an agreement was reached between Warner Television and the comic books that the wedding of Lois and Clark would take place in the comics at the same time as it would take place on the television show Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. So the writers were put in a bind because they were told they couldn't do the wedding and the aftermath as they were planning to do. So Mike Carlin came in and said, let's just kill him. Everybody joked about it. They thought it was really funny. You can't kill Superman. It's just, you know, he's obviously not serious and it's a big joke. And then eventually it stuck and they decided that it would be a big thing because the world, readers, fans, people who weren't fans, people who thought characters like Deadpool were cooler, like they do now, were taking Superman for granted. And what would it be like if we showed them that Superman could also die and we could actually have a comic book world where Superman didn't exist? So they did the story, and we got Superman Doomsday, I don't know, in like, whatever, 2006 or something, on video, and it was okay. It was enjoyable. I was glad to have it. I said, you know, who knows if we're ever going to get anything live action, and we've seen him on Justice League. They had the kind of thing with Doomsday, but they never really did the death justice, and they didn't do so with Superman Doomsday either. And we as fans figured, well, that's the best we're going to get. And then we had Zack Snyder and the pseudo-sequel to Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, where Doomsday was introduced again, but it wasn't really Doomsday the way we remembered him. It was this weird clone of Zod, or his body morphed into something, and Lex took him over and said, it's your Doomsday, and Superman fought him to the death. But was there really a reason in the film for him to fight him to the death? It looked like Wonder Woman was having a great time, and Batman was easily dodging out of the way. Now, Batman couldn't do much in the way of damage him. He was done with his kryptonite after he launched the one little exploding thing at Doomsday, and that probably weakened him, made him cough a little bit, but he laughed it off and continued fighting. But Wonder Woman laughed it off as well. She got slapped across the world and rolled all over the place and got back up with a big smirk and wanted to get right into the battle. Now, I guess what they were trying to show us was that he was just getting stronger and stronger, and when they wounded him, an arm or whatever would grow back and it would be better. And eventually they'd get to a point where it wouldn't be fun anymore and where Doomsday would be too powerful. But I didn't think they made that entirely clear. And Superman at one point just decided, in order to protect Lois and the world, that he had to go ahead and fight Doomsday with the kryptonite spear, which of course would weaken him, and then in turn caused Doomsday to be able to pierce his chest and kill him as well. It was deep for the end of the film. I thought it was touching. I thought it was emotional. I thought it was heroic. The music was great. But again, we ruined this great, legendary, long, memorable story from the comics. And again, we thought, well, I guess that's it. And perhaps in response to 2 lackluster showings of the Doomsday story, the animated section said, let's do this again, and let's do it kind of right. I don't think they're going to be able to do it the ultimate justice ever, because it's too long and they want to keep these films at 75 minutes. But in 2018, 2019, we're getting the death of Superman, followed by the reign of the Superman, which of course saw 4 Superman imposters try to take the place of Superman, some of which had dubious reasons for doing so. And it was very exciting, and then it culminates in Superman's very exciting, awesome return. I read an article recently that said that the Superman Doomsday movie included Superman's return with his business in the front, party in the back haircut, which of course refers to a mullet that I have for long years tried to tell people was not what Superman had, even if some artists had trouble drawing long hair. When all of your hair is long, when you get hit and your hair hangs into your face because you're like this when you land against the wall, that doesn't mean you have a business haircut in the front. That means you have long hair all around. I have had long hair at times. I also had a mullet in high school. A mullet is when you cut everything short up here and then you just have long hair, only in the back. Scraggly long hair in the back. I've done a demonstration of this, but you people just don't want to listen. Superman did not have a mullet, and I imagine will not have a mullet in the return of the death of Superman story to film yet another time, and I'm looking very much forward to it. I hope you are too. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, if you have to put off a year's worth of stories before the most legendary character can get married on television, you might as well just kill him.